When wealthy businessman Ethan encountered a homeless woman named Marla on the streets of his upscale neighborhood, he immediately offered her and her daughter a night of shelter in his mansion. Marla, wary yet desperate, accepted his invitation, hoping for a warm meal and a safe place to sleep. However, she had no idea that this seemingly simple decision would end up changing her life. When she laid eyes on an old family photo in the living room, it stopped her dead in her tracks, draining the color from her face. Marla froze as she stared at the picture, and for a moment she did not even hear what Ethan was saying. "Marla, you all right?" he asked, and she instantly jumped back to reality upon hearing her name. Out of reflex, she tightly clutched Luna, her daughter, and she managed to smile at Ethan. "Sorry, I just zoned out for a minute there." "Oh, that's all right. You must be tired. Come, I'll show you two to your room," he replied, and he motioned for her to follow him up the stairs. Marla was speechless as she walked into the guest room, and Luna asked, "Mommy, are we really going to sleep here?" looking at her mother with wide eyes. Marla was actually having doubts about whether they should stay here, since she just could not forget about that picture she had seen downstairs, and she did not understand how it was possible, but she realized that it was already too late to back out now. "Yeah, you are. You can stay as long as you need," Ethan said, and Luna started jumping excitedly. "Mommy, this room is huge!" she shrieked as she ran around the room. Her laughter filled the air, a stark contrast to Marla's silence. She still had not said a single word. Ethan walked over to a closet and started rummaging through something inside. "Here, I hope this fits," he said as he handed both Marla and Luna a pair of neatly folded pajamas. Marla looked at him, confused. Noticing her puzzled look, Ethan's chuckle broke the quiet tension. "My sister and her family are frequent visitors here," he explained with a warm, inviting tone. "They practically have a second home in this closet with all the pajamas they've left behind." Marla was finally able to relax for a moment upon hearing this, and she thought to herself, maybe this wasn't such a bad idea after all. Ethan showed them the ensuite bedroom and said, "Feel free to freshen up or take a shower if you want. I'll warm up dinner for you when you're done." Moments later, Marla and Luna were left alone, still a little bit confused by the sudden change of environment. They had been sleeping on the street for months now, and now they found themselves in such a luxurious space. An hour later, the two of them came downstairs, freshly showered and dressed in the soft pajamas that Ethan had given them. They enjoyed dinner together, and Marla actually started to open up a bit toward Ethan, but she did not fully trust him yet. She really wanted to confront him and ask about that family photo, but she decided to wait it out just a little more. During dinner, they talked about all kinds of things, but Ethan not once asked about how they even became homeless in the first place. Marla appreciated this. She did not feel like talking about that right now, especially after seeing that family picture, and Ethan probably sensed this. She would tell him about it, sure, but just not right now. After they were done eating, they all went to bed. Ethan had to leave for work early the next morning, but he insisted that Marla and Luna stay for at least a couple more days. Marla was hesitant about this at first, but when she saw how happy Luna was to finally wear some clean clothes and sleep in a clean bed, she finally gave in. Luna fell asleep as soon as her head hit the pillow, and Marla couldn't help but smile. However, she wasn't going to fall asleep just as easily. She kept tossing and turning, thinking about Ethan's family photo. She eventually told herself, "I just imagined it. It cannot be true. I probably just imagined it." She would soon find out that she had not, in fact, imagined anything. Hours later, she was still wide awake. She finally decided to get up and walk downstairs to have a glass of water, hoping that this would help her fall asleep somehow. She slowly walked out of the guest room and quietly closed the door behind her, not wanting to make any noise. The staircase creaked as she walked down the stairs, and she hoped she would not wake Luna or Ethan. She made her way to the kitchen and chugged a glass of cold water, thinking to herself, Oh, how I miss having a house. She couldn't help but think back to her own home, and how she lost it. And of course, this immediately reminded her of that family photo she had spotted before. Maybe now she could get a better look at it. She sneaked into the living room and turned on the lights before walking over to that picture again. With trembling hands, she picked it up and she held her breath as she stared at it from up close. There was no doubt about it now. She had not imagined it. Right there in that picture, surrounded by Ethan's family, was her late father. How was this possible? Who was Ethan really? And how did he know her father? Marla asked herself many more questions, but even she knew that there was only one way to get the answers. She needed to talk to Ethan about this. He was the only one who could tell her what was really going on here. Marla sat in the dimly lit room, the family photo in her hands. Her eyes traced each face, pausing at her father's image. "Why are you here?" she whispered, her mind racing. The silence of the night offered no answers, only the echo of her own confusion. Every detail in the photo seemed to deepen the mystery, yet offered no clear path to understanding. With a gentle touch, Marla carefully removed the photo from its ornate frame. Her fingers trembled slightly, fueled by a mix of hope and fear. There must be something here, she thought, seeking a hidden note or a clue that might have been tucked away behind the photograph. The possibility of uncovering a secret kept her focused, her heart beating faster with anticipation. Turning the photograph over, Marla's hopeful gaze quickly turned to disappointment. The back was blank, save for the faint lines of age. She felt a wave of frustration. It was as if the photo was a puzzle piece from a game with no rules. "Why is there nothing here?" she murmured, feeling the mystery thicken around her. In the quiet of the night, Marla sat motionless, the photo resting in her lap. Her mind wandered through the corridors of her past, trying to connect the dots. How does my father fit into Ethan's life? She pondered. The silence around her seemed to magnify her thoughts, turning them into a loud chorus of unanswered questions. As the first light of dawn seeped through the curtains, Marla's vigil was unbroken. She had spent the night chasing shadows in her mind, yet the dawn brought no clarity. With the rising sun, her resolve strengthened. She knew that the answers wouldn't find her. She had to unearth them herself. "I will find the truth," she resolved, her spirit undeterred by the night's fruitless search. Marla began her search at dawn. The mansion, grand and sprawling, held countless rooms, each whispering secrets of the past. She moved quietly, her eyes scanning every corner, every shelf, for any trace of her father. The silence of the vast halls seemed to watch her, the walls holding memories she desperately sought to uncover. There must be something here, she thought, her footsteps echoing softly. In each room, Marla felt as though she was walking through a museum of someone else's life. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and faint traces of cologne. She imagined her father here, in these very rooms, perhaps laughing or sharing a story. "What were you like with them?" she pondered, touching the aged furniture, hoping to feel a connection. Marla found herself in a room lined with shelves of old photographs and various artifacts. Her fingers traced the frames, her eyes searching each image for a familiar face. Old letters, faded and fragile, sat in piles, whispering stories of times long gone. She sifted through them, looking for any mention of her father, any sign that he was part of this world. Hours passed, turning into an entire day of searching, yet Marla found nothing, not a single photograph, letter, or mention of her father. It was as if he had never crossed paths with Ethan's family, yet she knew that couldn't be true. The frustration of her fruitless search began to weigh heavily on her, each empty room a reminder of the elusive truth. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the mansion, Marla's determination mingled with doubt. Her mind was a whirlpool of questions with no answers. "Why is there no trace of you, Dad?" she whispered, feeling a growing sense of unease. Her curiosity about the connection between her father and Ethan transformed into a deep anxiety, the mystery becoming more perplexing with each passing moment. Marla's heart pounded as she heard Ethan's car pull into the driveway. She clutched the family photo tightly, her resolve firming. "It's now or never," she thought, her breath quickening. As Ethan entered, his smile faltered upon seeing Marla's intense expression. "Ethan, we need to talk," she said, her voice steady but laced with a mix of fear and determination. The moment of truth had arrived. Ethan's eyes widened in surprise as Marla thrust the photo towards him. "This man, in the photo with your family, he's my father," she declared, searching his face for recognition. Ethan took the photo, his expression shifting from confusion to disbelief. "Your father?" he echoed, his voice tinged with incredulity. Marla nodded, her gaze unwavering, demanding answers to the puzzle that had consumed her. Ethan sat down heavily, the photo still in his hands. "This is my father," he said softly, pointing to the man Marla recognized. "But he was also your father's brother." Marla's breath caught in her throat. "My uncle," she whispered, disbelief mingling with a dawning realization. Ethan nodded, his own shock evident. "Yes, your uncle," he confirmed, the weight of the revelation hanging heavily between them. The air was thick with astonishment as Ethan continued. "They were twins. Your father and mine." Marla felt the room spin around her. Twins. This meant she and Ethan were cousins. "Twins," she repeated, her mind racing to piece together this new fragment of her family history. Ethan nodded solemnly. "Yes, identical twins. But they were estranged for years," he added, a hint of sadness in his voice. Marla felt a surge of emotions overwhelm her. Joy at discovering family, confusion over the years of separation, and sadness for the time lost. Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at Ethan, no longer a kind stranger, but her cousin. "I had no idea," she murmured, her voice choked with emotion. The revelation brought a tumultuous mix of feelings, unveiling a family connection she had never imagined. In the light of the new revelations, Marla and Ethan sat together, a new purpose forming between them. "We need to understand," Marla said, her voice resolute. Ethan nodded in agreement, his own curiosity sparked. "There's so much we don't know about our fathers," he admitted. Together they decided to delve into the past, to uncover the hidden stories of their shared lineage. Their quest led them to the attic, a place untouched by time and filled with remnants of the past. As they ascended the creaky stairs, a sense of anticipation enveloped them. The attic, with its layers of dust and shadows, promised secrets waiting to be discovered. It was a treasure trove of their family's history, holding answers to questions they hadn't yet thought to ask. They began sifting through old boxes and trunks, each item a piece of the puzzle. The attic air was thick with dust, each breath a reminder of the years that had passed. They found photo albums with faded pictures, relics of a bygone era, and small, personal items that had once belonged to their fathers. Each discovery was a whisper from the past, bringing them closer to understanding. Hours passed as they worked side by side, the attic a silent witness to their search. They carefully examined old letters, deciphered faded handwriting, and shared surprised exclamations at each new discovery. The stories contained in these items were fragments of a larger tale, a tapestry of their family history that they were slowly piecing together, picture by picture, word by word. Amidst the relics of the past, Marla and Ethan found themselves forging a new bond. They shared laughter over old family anecdotes and moments of silence as they pondered the more poignant memories. Their father's history, once a dividing factor, now became a bridge connecting them, In the dusty attic, surrounded by echoes of the past, they were not just cousins, but kindred spirits, linked by a shared heritage, letters from the past. As they delved deeper into the attic's treasures, Marla and Ethan stumbled upon a hidden trove of letters and journals. These were the personal writings of their fathers, a direct line to the past. Each letter, yellowed with age, was carefully unfolded. Each journal, its spine cracked with use, was reverently opened. The words of their fathers awaited them, a legacy in ink and paper. The writings painted a vivid picture of their fathers' childhoods, stories of boyish adventures, shared dreams, and brotherly bonds leapt from the pages. Marla and Ethan were transported to a time when their fathers were inseparable, their world one of laughter and companionship. It was a glimpse into a joyous past, a time before the complexities of adulthood set in, painting a picture of pure, unadulterated brotherhood. Gradually, the tone of the letters shifted. The carefree tales of youth gave way to narratives of growing apart. The brothers' paths diverged, marked by differing ambitions and life choices. The words revealed a slow, painful fracturing of the bond that once seemed unbreakable. Marla and Ethan traced the contours of this estrangement, each letter a piece of the puzzle explaining their father's eventual separation. Ethan, eyes misty with nostalgia, shared his own memories. "My father often spoke of his brother with such fondness," he recalled, but over time, that fondness turned into regret. His stories added layers to the written accounts, filling in the gaps with personal recollections. Ethan's voice breathed life into the memories, turning the written words into vivid, palpable experiences. Marla listened intently, the stories resonating with the fragmented tales her own father had shared. Each memory Ethan recounted found an echo in her own recollections. Suddenly, her father's past was no longer a series of disconnected anecdotes, but a coherent narrative interwoven with Ethan's family history. The past was coming alive, bridging the gap between then and now, between her father and herself. Among the faded letters, Marla and Ethan found several heated exchanges between their fathers. The letters revealed a major disagreement concerning a family business venture. The words were charged with emotion, the lines etched with the stress of decision-making. It was clear that this business matter was a turning point, a catalyst that began to drive a wedge between the once inseparable brothers. As they read further, the depth of the rift became apparent. Ethan's father had felt deeply betrayed by a decision Marla's father had made, one that had significant financial repercussions. The letters conveyed a sense of hurt and disappointment that had festered over time. "He felt let down," Ethan murmured, his voice heavy with the weight of his father's unspoken pain. The disagreement described in the letters grew into a profound feud. What started as a business dispute escalated into personal animosity, severing the strong bonds they once shared. The words in the letters became colder, more formal, the warmth of brotherhood replaced by a chilling distance. Marla and Ethan could feel the growing chasm between their fathers, a divide that seemed to deepen with every letter. Marla felt a pang of sadness as she realized the depth of the familial rift. "So, this is why I never knew about this side of my family," she said softly, a sense of loss washing over her. The realization that a business disagreement had kept her from knowing her father's family, from sharing in their lives, filled her with a profound sense of what might have been. Ethan sat in contemplative silence, the letters spread out before him. "My father rarely spoke of his brother," he shared, his voice tinged with regret. "Now I understand why." The silence that had shrouded the history of Marla's father and his family was a protective veil, a way of shielding from the pain of a broken relationship. Ethan's reflection brought a new understanding of the silence that had enveloped their shared past. In a tattered journal, Marla discovered a heart-wrenching entry. Her father had risked his share of the family assets, including their home, in a desperate attempt to mend fences with his brother. His words were filled with hope and urgency, revealing a deep longing to repair the fractured bond. Marla's hands trembled as she realized the magnitude of her father's gamble, taken in the name of family reconciliation. The journal detailed how the deal, meant to be a gesture of goodwill, had disastrously failed. Marla's father's investment, tied up in the business venture, evaporated overnight, dragging their family's fortunes down with it. The enormity of the loss hit Marla hard. It wasn't just money or business. It was the security and stability of her childhood home, lost in the wake of a failed attempt at redemption. This catastrophic business failure was the turning point that led to Marla's family losing their home. As she read on, she understood how they had gradually slipped into financial ruin, leading to the homelessness that had marked her early years. The pieces of her past were falling into place, each revelation painting a clearer, albeit more painful, picture of her family's history. Marla came across entries filled with her father's remorse and guilt. His words echoed with regret for the consequences his actions had on his family. Reading his thoughts, Marla felt a wave of empathy. His intentions, though flawed, were rooted in a deep-seated desire to mend broken family ties. It was a tragic tale of good intentions leading to unintended dire consequences. As she absorbed the contents of the journal, Marla was engulfed by a whirlwind of emotions. Shock at the revelations, anger over the decisions that led to their downfall, and a profound sadness for her father's unfulfilled intentions. She wrestled with her feelings, trying to reconcile the father she remembered with the man in these pages. His actions, though misguided, stemmed from a place of love and regret. Ethan spoke softly, his voice laden with emotion. "My father always carried the burden of losing his brother," he confessed. He described how his father, in his later years, would gaze at old photographs, his eyes filled with a mix of sadness and longing. It was a regret that lingered, a silent ache for a bond broken and never mended, a relationship lost to time and pride. "There were so many missed opportunities," Ethan said, a note of sorrow in his voice. He expressed regret for not knowing about Marla and her mother, wondering how different things might have been if their fathers had reconciled. "We could have been part of each other's lives much sooner," he lamented, reflecting on the years of family connection that were lost to misunderstandings and unspoken words. Marla, her eyes moist with unshed tears, felt a gradual shift within her. She began to forgive her father, understanding the depth of his love and the pain of his guilt. His actions, though they had led to hardship, were driven by a deep desire to reconnect with his brother. She realized that his choices were made in hope, not malice, paving her path toward healing and forgiveness. As they sat amongst the remnants of their shared past, Ethan and Marla reflected on the years lost to their father's estrangement. "What could have been?" Marla whispered, her voice tinged with a mix of wonder and regret. They pondered the happy memories that might have filled those lost years, imagining holidays and celebrations that could have brought their families together, bridging the gap between past and present. In the midst of their shared history, Marla and Ethan found a new sense of family. Their bond, forged through the discovery of their father's past, grew stronger. They found solace in each other's company, recognizing the chance to mend the rift that had once torn their family apart. In each other, they found not just a cousin, but a kindred spirit, a connection that transcended the years of separation. Ethan took an active role in helping Marla rebuild her life. He introduced her to job opportunities, supporting her in every step of her journey towards independence. Marla, with renewed determination, embraced these chances, grateful for the support. "Thank you, Ethan," she said, her voice reflecting a mix of hope and appreciation. It was more than just finding a job. It was about reclaiming her place in the world. The day Marla and Luna moved into their new apartment marked a significant milestone. As they unpacked, each item placed in its new space symbolized the start of a new chapter. Luna's laughter echoed in the rooms, filling them with warmth and life. "We're home," Marla whispered to herself, a sense of peace settling in her heart. It was a fresh start, a foundation for their new life. Ethan, eager to formally welcome Marla and Luna, organized a family gathering. It was a warm, intimate affair with relatives who were just as eager to embrace the new members of their family. The air buzzed with introductions and shared stories, an atmosphere rich with the sense of belonging. Marla looked around, her heart swelling with the realization that this was her family, a part of her life she had never known. The gathering was a joyous celebration of new beginnings. Laughter and music filled the air, and Marla watched as Luna mingled with her newfound relatives. There were toasts, hugs, and shared dreams for the future. Marla felt an overwhelming sense of acceptance and hope. This was more than just a family reunion. It was an affirmation of their shared future, a promise of support and love. As the evening wound down, Marla took a moment to reflect on her journey. From the depths of despair to the warmth of a loving family, her life had taken an incredible turn. She felt a profound sense of gratitude for the unexpected events that led her here. "Life is full of surprises," she thought, her heart full of appreciation. She was thankful for every twist and turn that brought her to this moment of joy and belonging. In a quiet, reflective moment, Marla, Luna, and Ethan gathered around the family photo that had started it all. Now it was a symbol of their united family. Luna's eyes sparkled with curiosity as she pointed at the faces, asking questions. Marla and Ethan shared stories about each person, the photo transforming from a symbol of mystery to one of unity and familial love. As they talked, the narrative of their family history weaved a tapestry of interconnected lives. They discussed the importance of family, acknowledging the journey that brought them together. "It's like coming full circle," Marla observed, her voice tinged with emotion. Ethan nodded, adding, "It's about understanding and forgiveness." The conversation was a healing balm, soothing old wounds and fortifying their bond. Marla took a moment to honor her father's memory, acknowledging his struggles and the love he had for her. "He did his best," she said softly, her heart finally at peace with his memory. She recognized his actions as those of a man trying to do right by his family, albeit flawed. It was a moment of profound understanding and acceptance of her father's life and choices. The trio shared a sense of joy and belonging, their newfound connection a source of comfort and happiness. They talked excitedly about future gatherings, holidays, and the many memories they would create together. Luna's laughter mingled with their conversation, a testament to the family's resilience and love. The promise of a shared future filled them with anticipation and happiness. As the story drew to a close, the family photo took on a new, profound meaning. It was no longer just an image, but a testament to hope, reconciliation, and the enduring power of family. Marla, Luna, and Ethan stood together, a family united not just by blood, but by the journey they had shared. The photo, once a catalyst for confusion and pain, now symbolized a future filled with love and belonging.